The following video will explain how we can create a supplier category within Sage X3. To do this, we can go to the common data in the left list. We can scroll down to BPs and we can select supplier categories. The suppliers category screen will then be displayed. All supplier categories that have been created will be displayed in the left list. So to create a new supplier category, the user can select New from the right list. We can select New. We can now enter a specific category code for the supplier category. We can now enter a description for the supplier category. We can enter a short description. We can enter a specific supplier counter. If there is no specific supplier counter that you would want to use, you can leave it blank. Because when you create your supplier, if there's no specific supplier counter, it will generate its own supplier. If you enter a supplier counter, it will then create its own supplier code when you create a supplier. Or if you leave it blank, you can enter your own supplier code when creating a new supplier. Creation method is a drop-down of is it either direct or with validation when creating supplier. We've got the general characteristics section where we can enter the specific country of the supplier category. By selecting on the selection icon, we can now search for the country. We can enter a specific language with regards to the supplier category. And from the country, we can see that the currency has already defaulted. Supplier type, we can select then either normal, a prospect, or a miscellaneous supplier. Select it as a normal supplier. Rate type, we will select daily rate, but this can be changed by clicking on the drop down, selecting daily rate, monthly rate, average rate, but we will always use daily rate. In the statistical groups, we can enter then 5 different statistical information. We've also got a credit section where we can enter an authorized credit amount, where we've got check, no check, or hold. So if we enter a credit amount and we select hold, it means that the supplier cannot go over its credit limit, and it will stop you from doing any form of processes on the supplier. When we've got no check, it means that the supplier can go over the credit limit, and check means that we will get a warning stating when we go over our credit limit, but you will still be able to process towards the supplier. We can then click on the commercials tab, where we can enter the specific details with regards to ordering. So we can enter what type of class the supplier category will fall under by selecting the drop down, class A, B, C or D. Then we can enter a minimum order amount. We've got the multi-line order. So if this ticket means that for this supplier category, we can have different order lines when ordering. In the bottom, we've got the reports, where we can tick an order form, return slip, or receipt note. If certain of these documents will not be needed, we can untick them as required by the customer. In the delivery section, we can enter details, for instance, which carrier the supplier will be using, which delivery mode the supplier will be using, transport location. The drop down is domestic, other EU, outside EU that can be selected. The due date origin, is it on the receipt date or the invoice date? We've got the discount and charges section where we can enter specific discounts for this supplier category. When we go to the financials, we've got different accounting information that we can enter. So for the accounting code, we can enter standard accounting code, an account structure, we can enter so there's no details for accounting structure in this example. Tax rule, we can enter then the tax rule for the supplier category. We can enter a specific payment term for this supplier category. We can enter a settlement discount. We can enter a specific bank. We can also look at the analytical section where we can enter specific analytical dimensions for this specific supplier category. To do this, we can tick on the selection icon and we can make then we can select analytical dimensions for the specific supply category. If any retentions were used, we can enter retention code and its description will default for the specific supplier. We can go to the rankings tab and then we can enter specific conversion factors, for instance lead time coefficient, price factor, quality factor, quantity coefficient, free coefficient, if any of this information is needed. To finish creating your supplier category, we can click on create. So now we have created our supplier category. In the following video we will explain how to create a supplier, and then we can make changes to the specific supplier that we are creating. The user can now navigate back to the navigation page by clicking on Close Page.